Hey Hotties, how you healing? How you feeling? I'm Zenzi, and this is Hotties Heal. First, I'd like to start by saying welcome or welcome back to all of my returning and new viewers. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm grateful. And if you are new and you don't know what Hotties Heal is all about, it is basically all about being the best person that you can be. And I just share my thoughts and experiences and hope that it helps somebody. It at least helps me. So that's what matters the most, I guess. All right, so let's get into it. And the topic of today's video is all about thoughts versus feelings. What are thoughts? What are feelings? And how to differentiate between the two. Because there is a difference, and I do think that sometimes people, myself included, can confuse thoughts with feelings. Thoughts and feelings are a fundamental aspect of the human experience, but they represent different processes and functions within our mind. So, what are thoughts? Thoughts are cognitive processes which involve reasoning, belief, judgments, and opinions. These can be conscious or unconscious, or I don't want to say unconscious. What I mean is subconscious. These thoughts can be conscious or they could be subconscious, and are often, usually, articulated through language, as long as that is not a barrier. Feelings are an emotional response to thoughts, experiences, or stimuli. Feelings are often associated with physical sensation and can have a more visceral effect. I would say that the key differences between thoughts and feelings are through expression, duration, and influence. Not necessarily in that order, but let me get into what I mean by those things. I mean that thoughts can be spoken and feelings are felt. But oftentimes when we're feeling our feelings, we're not actually feeling them, we're intellectualizing them, which is actually just thinking through our thoughts. This brings me to influence. Our thoughts can influence our feelings just as much as our feelings can influence our thoughts. This is why being mindful of what we're thinking is so important, because our minds have the power to create the way that we feel and therefore how we are interacting in the world. So, knowing that, we know that if we are thinking about something in a negative way, that can project anxiety and or fear, which are considered negative emotions. So if we choose to think about things in a positive way, we can then feel more positively about them. Obviously, this takes some training and time, because a lot of the times our feelings about things, if I'm being realistic, are usually coming from a more negative standpoint, just based on experience, just based on the fact that life isn't always kind. But I say this often, you gotta be cruel to be kind sometimes. And I truly believe that the universe is always conspiring to make us into the best person that we can be. And sometimes that means we have to face challenge and adversity. That's just a part of life. But it's knowing that you have the power to think differently and therefore feel differently. Or you can choose to help yourself to feel a certain emotion and then bring in a positive thought to associate it with. That's what I mean by it can work both ways. I believe that thoughts and therefore feelings are influenced by habit. And that brings me into the next point, which is the duration of which feelings and thoughts are felt. Thoughts can often be persistent and transient in nature, whereas feelings are more immediate, based on the fact that they are related usually to experience or stimuli. But if we have a prolonged way of thinking, which then creates a certain feeling, either can extend the experience in which we are thinking and feeling this way, because it's just a cycle. So it's really up to you to stop the cycle if it's not in your benefit, if it's not something that is projecting a positive outcome for you. With all of that being said and now being understood and known, I think something important to point out is that oftentimes people are thinking and feeling based on their own experience. And I recently watched a video that was shared with me about how it's better to be patient with sharing both your thoughts and your feelings with people until you've had time to understand what you're actually thinking and feeling, because oftentimes what we are eager to share isn't always perceived in the way that we want it to be. And there also needs to be an inherent understanding that regardless of when you choose to share your thoughts and feelings, they may never be perceived in the way that you want them to be. And if you're okay with that, then by all means, share your thoughts and feelings, but also understand that your thoughts and your feelings are your own. And there's a lot of power in that, because you have the ability to change them or create them. Anytime you feel a strong desire to put your thoughts and feelings on someone else, really think about why you want to do that, because it's usually coming from a place of trying to soothe your own discomfort and sort of gratify and satisfy your ego. That's why being balanced in both your thoughts and emotions is so important, especially when you're going to involve another, and that the reaction, both from the giver and the receiver of these thoughts and feelings, is going to be based on self. And what I mean by that is the way that you're sharing comes from a place of how you're feeling, and the way that they're perceiving is coming from a place of what they are thinking and feeling towards how it's being delivered to them. And regardless of if you put a lot of thought into it or not, you cannot control how someone else is going to feel. It completely allows you to take your power back in knowing that only you have the power to create effective, positive change in your life. Likely, when we are reaching out to someone else to try to soothe an uncomfortable thought or feeling within, it's really always going to offer us the opportunity to then shift within and be our own comfort, be our own support, because no one can really save you from yourself. Bomb dropped. Mic dropped. It doesn't have to be a catastrophe if you don't want it to be. You can be your own hero. I can be a hero, baby. Sing that to yourself. Okay. So I guess the main purpose of this video is really for me to just reiterate and drive home the point that your experience is your own. Your feelings are your own. Your thoughts are your own. And the moment that you decenter self in that way is the moment that things go awry, because it is your life to live, and you can't control how anyone else is going to react to you, your thoughts, and your feelings. So it's better to not even allow it to hold that much weight. You know, ultimately, at the end of the day, people are going to think and feel however they want to feel, and you're going to think and feel however you want to feel and think. So it's better just to choose light, choose love. And I know that can be trying at times, because it's not always easy to do those things, but maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the journey. Maybe the whole process is just to challenge yourself to choose to keep loving and choosing yourself every day. And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I just mean that in a way that when you are willing to unconditionally give love, that will ultimately always be reflected back to you in its own strange way. Everything's not black and white, so, you know, bad is always going to exist. Negativity is always going to exist, but it's all about what we choose to focus on and what we choose to believe in. All right, folks, that's where I'm going to call it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for staying and chatting. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye. I absolutely hated that, but bye.